Kwan?
Present.
Trustee Kwong?
Present.
Trustee Chin Lau? Trustee Gibson?
Here.
Trustee Wong?
Present.
Trustee Liu? Trustee Silver?
Here.
Student Trustee Wong?
Do we have any public comment on closed session agenda items? Thank you very much. We're going to now recess to closed session, C1 Government Code 54957, C2 Government Code 54957.6, and C3 Government Code 54956.9, D2 and E3, where we reconvene shortly. Thank you.
I know, it's kind of not fun.
I just mean overall.
I just want to say I'd like to hear from
Good
them.
evening, everybody.
We're 2 hours late.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We're going to reconvene into our regular meeting at 6:02 p.m. There is nothing to report out from closed session. Roll call, please.
Trustee Aragon,
Present.
Trustee Kwong,
Here.
Trustee Chin Lau, Trustee Gibson,
Here.
Trustee Wong,
Here.
Trustee Liu. Trustee Liu.
He's here.
Oh, we hear you.
Perfect. Trustee Silver,
Here.
Student Trustee Wong.
Here.
Okay, to our land acknowledgement, I'll read our land acknowledgement this evening. Pasadena City College is a learning community within the indigenous homelands of the people who have been known as the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians of the Chiquanga Village and Quiche Nation. Tonight, we acknowledge the painful history of genocide and forced removal from this land on which we gather. We also honor the legacy of the African diaspora and recognize that the United States, as we know it, was built at the often fatal expense of forcibly enslaved Black people. We are indebted to their labor and the labor of many Black and brown bodies that continue to work in the shadows for our collective benefit. PCC and its faculty, staff, and students recognize that we are all simultaneously teachers, learners, and guests on these lands. This acknowledgement is a small part of an ongoing process of working to raise awareness about histories that are too often erased or forgotten, to recognize our place in this history, and to affirm our commitment to social justice, systemic change, and anti-racism. For the Pledge of Allegiance, Student Trustee Wong, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, please stand.
Thank you.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We are now at approval reordering of agenda items.
Yes. I have.
Oh, were you going to say something, Trustee Silva?
Oh, yes. I would like to reorder, I would like to pull item F7 to vote on separately.
Okay, let me get a pen, sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
And also, I would like to make a motion, if I may.
Let us quickly, yes, let's go ahead. Go ahead.
Due to the number of requests to give public comments that we have received, and in order to support our ability to conduct the business of our meeting, I would like to make a motion to limit public comments to 10 minutes total per individual commenter.
Thank you. We have a motion made by Trustee Silver. Do we have a second?
Second.
I've seconded by Trustee Kwong. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're going to be doing roll call votes today because we do have a trustee online as required by law. So for this vote, for this motion made by Trustee Silver and seconded by Trustee Kwong, can we have roll call vote, please?
Student Trustee Wong,
Aye.
Trustee Aragon,
Aye.
Trustee Chin Lau, Trustee Gibson,
Aye.
Trustee Kwong,
Aye.
Trustee Liu,
Aye.
Trustee Silver,
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye. Is there any, actually, that was the vote. Sorry, thank you. That passes. So public comments will be limited to a total of 10 minutes cumulative. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended by Trustee Silver earlier?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Aragon. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Gibson. Can we have a roll call vote?
Trustee Wong,
Aye.
Trustee Aragon,
Aye.
Trustee Chin Lau,
Aye.
Trustee Gibson,
Aye.
Trustee Kwong,
Aye.
Trustee Liu,
Aye.
Trustee Silver,
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye. Sorry, I keep missing it from the beginning of that. I will remember next time. Thank you. The agenda passes as amended. Thank you. Do we have any introductions or recognitions today? No, we do not. Okay. We're now going to go to public comment on non-agenda items. This is the time and place for members of the public to address the board on items that are not on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Under state law, comments are to be directed to the board, not to staff or other members of the public, and state law prohibits the board from discussing any or acting on any issue not on the agenda. Under the board's bylaws, meetings of the board are to be held in a civil, orderly, and respectful manner, and disrupting, disturbing, or otherwise impeding the orderly conduct of the meeting and/or physical violence or threats of physical violence directed towards any person or property are expressly prohibited. The board deeply respects the First Amendment rights that apply during public comment. However, speakers are also cautioned that under California law, no person is immune from liability for making intentionally false or defamatory comments regarding another person simply because those comments are made at a public meeting. In addition, personnel matters are confidential, and persons who have complaints against employees of the district are encouraged to seek resolution of those complaints by utilizing established complaint procedures rather than orally addressing them at a meeting. The board assumes no responsibility for a speaker's liability for any intentionally false or defamatory comments that the speaker may make regarding any person during the opportunity for public comment. Okay. So, sorry, can you give me the little clicker thing? Thank you. Because Trustee Liu is joining us virtually, I will manage our comments today. Okay. And as a reminder, for our public comments, we had just adopted a motion that limits cumulative speaking time to 10 minutes per speaker, and then any single given public comment cannot exceed 3 minutes. Our first non-agenda public comment comes from Mistress Shaganaka.
All right, good morning. That was a very good motion to limit the public comment, because I believe that I'm always in support of putting limitation on the freedom of speech, because First Amendment is absolutely terrible. So I would propose that let's make sure that our DEI speakers, they have 100 minutes, and then let's make sure non-DEI speakers, they have 1 minute only. So that's how we improve the DEI initiative in this campus. Perfect. Second of all, talking about the land acknowledgement, I'm also a big fan of the land acknowledgement by our board. Our board talking about all the amazing things about Native American, the painful history about Native American. I'm in support of all that because I learned everything of all of those in my history courses. So what's the action should be taken? Everybody get out, Native American state, that's it, solve the problem. But right now we continue to acknowledge the painful history towards Native American, but we don't do anything. So just keep wasting of time on your verbal communication, no action. Number 3, let's talk about DEI. So I'm actually very surprised that our Facebook, Twitter, Google, McDonald's, Ford, whatever, all of the Fortune 500 company are reversing their DEI initiatives. It's unbelievable. Those are the woke of the wokest company in the world. How is that even possible? And at the same time, they reverse their DEI the same way our DEI director reversed my name change request. Absolutely amazing. So I want to make sure that if we continue that, and then there are currently more than 31 states across the nation that initiated anti-DEI proposals to their state legislature. So if we continue this trend, I can retire from public comment within the next 3 or 4 years. I'm happy with that. Number 3, let's talking about a shelter. I would like to ask our DEI president for assistance of the shelter, because originally I have 2 roommates, and then I always believe I have a very easy life because I'm only paying 1/3 of the rent. But currently 2 of my other roommates, either they got deported, either they receive ICE notices, they are in fear of their deportation, they just currently disappeared. So I'm in the apartment by myself, so I'm paying the triple rent every month. So I want to ask our DEI superintendent, do we have a shelter program? Do we have a women's shelter I can go? Or do we have a men's shelter I can go? Or do we have an animal shelter I can go? So whatever shelter I can go, that's dog? Okay. So whatever dog shelter I can go, so that is better than living on the street. Number 4 is about the Black Success Center. I did a little bit of research on
Thank you. Your
Google.
time has expired. Thank you. Your time has expired. Our next public comment is from Melissa Michelson.
Hello, good evening, and Happy New Year. I'm Associate Professor Melissa Michelson. I've been here for 16 years educating our students. Last year, I was a vocal opponent to how the $565 million bond money was being loosely earmarked by now resigned VP Candace Jones. 60% of the construction money for consultants and the rest somehow magically used to buy, demolish, and rebuild from the ground up a whole new campus in Rosemead and more, all over PCC. It was and is unrealistic. I wonder if you all ever got to see any forward-looking, all-encompassing accounting and budgeting in spreadsheet, not a pretty PowerPoint. The Bond Oversight Committee never saw anything like this, nor the public, but you somehow approved the, quote, refresh. In the process, you displaced dance and yoga students from their dedicated space, and the 2 specialized large dance studios. Maybe you want to let them back into W to increase their course offerings. None of the professors who are in W want to leave, and there's no need. It's not dangerous. If it were, it would have been red tagged years ago. The engineering report says to do some simple retrofits. How about get cost estimates for doing that? Exactly what the 2020 bond promised the public. And think outside the box for reuse. What's needed is rehabbing the pool, renovating locker rooms, maybe make them smaller, and if the gym isn't needed, do something with that. The Veterans Center is in W, see what they may want rather than move them to Science Village, temporary bungalows for who knows how long. And the rest in W is cosmetic. Last I checked, some loose numbers were earmarked for demolishing W, but nothing for building anything back up. No academic building that's in the 2020 master plan. At a facilities meeting last year, Trustee Wong asked VP Jones if there would need to be another bond to complete all the projects on the plan, and she said yes. About the L building, it's historic. We're the second community college in California that has ever had its own library, and it was in there. It was designed by a famous architect, has lovely maintained Harbison Hall, and now you want to demolish it. Pasadena Heritage has it on its watch list and say don't demolish. How does that look when PCC is actively celebrating its PCC's 100-year anniversary? There is no need to have a 3-story building there, but if there is, there haven't been any viable numbers provided. It's obviously someone's pet project to have a fancy new 3-story building to house clubs and support centers. Finally, now with the Trump administration, there are a lot of unknowns and havoc, if you will. Also, with 1/2 of one whole district decimated by the fire, including our own Trustee Gibson's home, and I'm very sorry for your loss, our tax base is gone, and voters will not be approving an increase to property taxes to give PCC yet another bond. To add more fuel to the flames, you're demolishing for no supported reason with their tax money from this. Please consider
Thank you. Your
other
time has
options.
expired. Our final public comment on non-agenda items comes from the speaker in the black beanie. Black beanie and gray hoodie.
So, trustees, no man in the country whose opinion I value more than yours as communist. A communist party, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. And I find it offensive that the rules of decorum and their enforcement violate the First Amendment because they contain provisions which constitute impermissible prior restraints, not just by the time, but your tyrannical observation of how you censor every motherfucking person who comes to this mic like they do in your communist country, motherfucker. So, on the terms of prior restraints on speech, these terms are vague and lack adequate standards or guidelines for enforcement by you and other city jackass officials in this state like Newscom, like Mayor Bass, like Fat Gordo of Pasadena. And the reason? Because you don't want me, a brown motherfucker with an attitude, to exercise his right to free speech, a right to assembly, a right to due process. Legal and constitutional rights brought to me, motherfucker, by Frederick Douglass, a fucking slave. But I'm not a slave. I'm higher than a slave. I'm a fucking god. And I'm above your mind, beyond your capacity to think, because you put down niggers like me. And you niggers are out of control with the time.
That concludes public comment on non-agenda items. Our next item is the approval of minutes for the Board of Trustees regular business meeting number 14, December 11, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Chen Lao. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Gibson. Any discussion, questions? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Student Trustee Wang,
Aye.
Trustee Aragon,
Aye.
Trustee Chen Lao,
Aye.
Trustee Gibson,
Aye.
Trustee Kwong,
Aye.
Trustee Liu,
Aye.
Trustee Silver,
Aye.
Trustee Wang.
Aye. And that passes. Thank you. Next, do we have any board committees to report out? Oh, Trustee Gibson.
Yeah, I'll just report that we did do a legislative visit to Sacramento. Several trustees and students attended and visited with our representatives and made our requests of our representatives in Sacramento. There was also a visit to DC by several trustees and students. That's the report.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other board committees?
Mr. Chair.
Oh, yeah, go ahead,
I have
Trustee
one
Liu.
as well for the facility subcommittee.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll get more of a presentation in today's board meeting, but the facility subcommittee met last week, and we got a good update about the different facilities projects happening around campus. But I think more pertinently to what happened last month, we got an update about all the wonderful work that the facility staff did in the last few weeks in the aftermath of the fire. So just deeply appreciative for all the work that's happened.
Thank you, Trustee Liu. Okay. We now move on to our combined consent calendar, items F1 through H21. We currently have one item that was pulled by Trustee Silver, and that is item F7. And we also have a few other items on the consent calendar that are pulled by for public comment. And so if my colleagues would...
May I make a request to the chair?
Yes.
Could I also please pull items F9 and 10?
9 and 10. Okay. 1 second here. F9, F10. Okay. And then we also have comments on items separately from the polls, by the way. There's a comment on F9, G9, H9, and H13. So I would like to pull those as well so we can do the comments on them ahead of voting on these items that have been pulled. So could I get a motion to pull these items? So this would be item F7, F9, and F10 as pulled by Trustees Silver and Student Trustee Wong. And then for public comment, items F9, G9, H9, and H13.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Silver. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Gibson. So this is a vote on pulling of these items for discussion and also for public speakers. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Student Trustee Wang,
Aye.
Trustee Aragon.
Aye.
Trustee Chin Lau.
Aye.
Trustee Gibson.
Aye.
Trustee Kwong.
Aye.
Trustee Liu.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye. Thank you. Now, may I suggest that we first approve the rest of the consent calendar? So can I have a motion to approve items F1 through H21 minus the items we just pulled, which are F7, F9, F10, G8, G9, H9, and H13?
So moved.
Moved by student trustee Wong. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Aragon. Roll call vote, please.
Student Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Aragon.
Aye.
Trustee Chin Lau.
Aye.
Trustee Gibson.
Aye.
Trustee Kwong.
Aye.
Trustee Liu.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye. The rest of the consent calendar, the rest of the consent calendar passes.
Yes.
Okay, so
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
just one thing I had mentioned to Jose earlier that on the, I didn't pull it, but on 6 on the international
wait,
trip.
if you didn't pull it, we can't go back and discuss it now? Is that something we can talk about after the meeting?
Yeah, that's fine. I just
Sorry,
wanted to get
because we just already.
yeah, I just
voted
like to
on
get
it.
a report in the future, but.
Oh, okay. If you're asking
All
for
I'm
information.
requesting,
Okay, sure,
yeah.
sure. Sorry, mention
I think
it.
that's important for that trip from Korea to hear from the students when they come back. And I did mention that to Jose, so,
Okay, cool. Sorry.
Thank you.
I
Just
thought it was going to
wanted
be like
further-
more robust discussion.
yeah, just for the record.
Thank you. I'm now going to go in the order that we have the items that are pulled, and then hopefully at the end of all these, we can vote on them together to make it a little bit easier. So the first item was pulled by Trustee Silver, and that's item F7. Trustee Silver?
Yes, this is for the Upward Bound trip to Dave and Buster's, and I understand that the money's not coming from our budget, that it is a federal program and we're passing through the funds. But I urge the adults who choose the culminating activity to consider something with more educational value than Dave and Buster's. I urge them to consider taking the students maybe to the Huntington, maybe to the Natural History Museum, maybe to the Getty Villa or the Getty, or any number of museums. Most museums have food services, and I would bet they would have a room where you could have a celebration after letting students roam around and interact with the exhibits. So please consider that for future culminating events.
Yeah, I have a comment on that. Are you
Sure,
finished?
go ahead, Trustee Aragon.
The age group of our upper bound students, high school, correct? I think we have to think about what they'd like to do. I think the Huntington's a great idea, but I know that place has like video games and some really cool activities that I think that would be something fun for the students to do. So I just want to say that. That's it.
No, thank you. This item was pulled, so if anybody has discussion, this would be the time to do it before we move on to the next item.
I want to go to Dave
Okay.
Buster's.
Thank you. So that is all we have for that item, and I'm going to hold the votes on these items just so we can make it a little simpler, both for the vote and also because we have to do a roll call for every single one. Next, we go to an item that was pulled, item F9, which is student travel to the Association of Community College Trustees. We do have a public comment on this item, so I will take the public comment first, if that's okay, as we typically do, or unless it's something quick that.
It was pulled for the purpose of voting.
Oh, okay, got it. Then in that case, we will just do a quick public comment on this item first. So the public comment that we have on this item is again from the speaker in the gray hoodie and black beanie.
It's going to take just 30 seconds so I can save my time since I'm constrained by time. Freedom is a road seldom traveled by the multitude. And finding this portion of this so-called travel association, it is a good thing. And so is Dave and Buster's, although I'm off topic, because it serves happy hour, great cocktails, good for watching sports, and a good fucking time. Thank you.
Okay, that is all for that item. Is there something you want to say about the purpose of voting? Is this because you want to?
Just for conflict of interest potential.
Oh, of course. Thank you. Then is that the same thing for F10
Yes.
as well? Okay, so if we don't have any discussion on that, I'll hold those two for a vote together.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Student Trustee Wong. Okay, the next item that has been pulled is item G9, and that's from the same speaker as we just had. If you'd like to come back, sir. The speaker, it's G9.
Read the goddamn card, man. Frederick Douglass, no? I know the spell.
I'm referring to
Goddamn.
your
Are you
your.
prejudiced or what?
I'm referring to your
You
presence.
sound like a communist now.
Your times begin. Thank you.
That's right. I'm gonna take another 30 seconds. The trip for chamber singers? Singing is good. Matter of fact, I like the singer you have here, that Asian motherfucker, because he does a great job. Thank you.
Okay, that's item G9. Did we have any discussion on G9, or can I move on to the next one, colleagues? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next one. The next one is H9. That's you again, sir, with the gray hoodie and black beanie.
What's wrong with you, bro? Just read the card. It says Frederick Douglass. One of them actually says F. Douglass, because he's a badass nigga. So, referring to a badass nigga,
That's H9. And then we have one more public comment from the items we pulled from Mr. Shaganaka on H13.
All right, good morning. H13 is about technology spending. Currently, I'm having a concern about the PCC technology. Number one, I would like to point out that during my early years, several decades ago, when I first arrived at PCC, I don't know such thing as a IT support ticket because I never I never had the need to submit a ticket. But for the past 2 or 3 semesters, I am submitting those technology IT support ticket 3 or 4 times every semester after our President Jones took office. So right now, if we are talking about technology spending, I see millions of millions every year. I see, sometimes the 20 millions or whatever upgrade technology. But at the same time, I have experience in the last year, 1 year alone, I have experienced that 3-day I cannot log in. I have experienced that a Canvas page not available. I have saying that I successfully registered for the classes, but my professor said I'm not on the roster. I just feel enough is enough. How many technology issues are we going to have after spending millions of money on that? And then specifically, my biggest concern comes with our email login issue. Because right now I'm noticing that I can only study and learn doing my homework in the school computers. Whenever I'm going to, for example, after I finish my work in the LA City Library in downtown LA, when I'm trying to log in, it says, no, you need to have a cell phone to get your authentication code in order to log in, which is I never have a phone. So it makes me a problem that if I do not have a computer at home or internet, if our school library, learning center are not opening on Saturday and Sunday, that makes me almost impossible to log in to my Canvas, log in to my Lancer Point, because our library have limited hour, and then during their opening hour, it could also be my working hour, my employment hour. So outside of their library hour, I cannot go to a city library to doing my work. At the same time at home, I don't have internet. It seems like it's too impossible for me to doing my homework, classwork outside of our school library hour. And then on top of that, most of our school library hour are conflicting with my working hour. So I just really wish some of our DEI president can take a look at in this issue, because I don't want to get an F, since I have received so many F in these courses in the semester. So I don't want our superintendent deport me back to my country. I'm really in fear of my deportation. Thank you.
Okay, those are the comments that we had for those consent items. I know because Student Trustee Wong, you wanted to vote separately on F9 and F10. I'll vote on those. Well, I'll call those separately, but we'll do the rest of them first. So can I have a motion to approve items F7, G9, H9, and H13?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Gibson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, seconded by Student Trustee Wong. Any discussion on those? Further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Student Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Aragon.
Aye.
Trustee Chin Lau.
Aye.
Trustee Gibson.
Aye.
Trustee Kwong.
Aye.
Trustee Liu.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye. That passes. And again, just for note purposes, for the minutes, I just wanted to confirm that was for F7, G9, H9, and H13. And now we're going to, can I have a motion to approve items F9 and F10?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Silver. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Gibson. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Student Trustee Wong.
Abstain.
Trustee Aragon.
Aye.
Trustee Chin Lau.
Aye.
Trustee Gibson.
Aye.
Trustee Kwong.
Aye.
Trustee Liu.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye. And that passes. Thank you, Student Trustee Wong, for that. I appreciate you catching that. We're now moving to our personnel consent calendar. This is section I for the approval of personnel consent calendar, items I2 to I6. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Aragon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Gibson. Discussion?
Yeah, just
And student, huh? Okay.
a quick discussion on, we're on I, correct?
Yes.
So I just wanted to say congratulations to those who are going on sabbatical. I wish you all the best on your sabbatical. And I just want to say one thing about Rudy, who's leaving us as the trainer down in kinesiology and athletics. I wish him all the best, and I really enjoyed working with him when I was here, and he was great. So that's it.
Thank you. Roll call vote, and student trustee does not vote on this item.
Trustee Aragon.
Aye.
Trustee Chin Lau.
Aye.
Trustee Gibson.
Aye.
Trustee Kwong.
Aye.
Trustee Liu.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye. That passes. Thank you. Trustee Gibson,
I'd like to move for a 10-minute recess.
do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Trustee Aragon. I'm going to, without objection on this one, because it's procedural. Okay, we'll take a 10-minute recess. We're going to come back now. Before I gavel us in, Trustee Liu, oh, he is there, perfect. So we'll come back to our meeting. Our next section is the response, our community and our college's response to the devastating Eaton fire. Before we even begin, I know I probably can say this on behalf of the board, and I know we'll have opportunity to share more in a little bit, but I wanted to first express my own gratitude to every member of this community that really both stepped up and showed so much compassion and care for our Lancer family during this devastating time, and certainly extending our sympathy, our sorrow, and our support for those members of our community that have lost their homes or otherwise been impacted by the fires. And tonight, we have a series of items that are a part of our college's response, some of which have already been in action that I know Dr. Gomez will talk about in a second, and some more for us as a board to take action on. So before we get to the fire response presentation, we do have a public comment on it. So we have a public comment on item J1 by Mr. Shaganaka.
Before I start, Board Secretary, please stop me at 1 minute and 3 second mark because I need my remaining 3 minutes on K4. Start right now. So the fire response generally is okay, but I want to share some of my common sense about the fire response, which is the assistance should be appropriate to each individual. So when we are giving out meals, compared to a person who is 70 pounds and compared to a person that is 500 pounds, there shouldn't be a standard equation that when giving out assistance, when giving out water, when giving out whatever they need. Because I feel that when I'm eating, I feel those kind of whatever food or water right there, you give me 3 or 4 and I'm not even getting started. But at the same time, I also seen some people eat half of the burrito into the trash can. Well, you can give it to me instead of throwing out in the trash can. I just want to make sure that in the future that we can stop this stomach discrimination or overweight discrimination. That every student, regardless the size of they are, they should receive the assistance appropriate to their size.
That's
instead
time.
of one.
That's time.
Okay, we now have a presentation from Dr. Gomez, who is going to be speaking to us from the podium, which I think is a first.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. More than a month has passed since one of the worst disasters of our lifetime. During the darkest days of the fires, when the flames were still raging and the sky was ominous and the air filled with ash, PCC was here to help our community survive. For 100 years, PCC's history has been interwoven with within the rich fabric of our community, and our role as a community leader and partner continued during this disaster. Is the video working? Okay, good. This is a role that we have played before, and one that we can trace to our earliest years. When the Long Beach earthquake struck our region in 1933, it shook our community and leveled buildings on campus. In the aftermath of that tragedy, the college demonstrated its resilience. Faculty taught classes in unlighted tents as the campus rebuilt. And in spite of the destruction, students came to campus and learned. Over the last month, our PCC community of staff, faculty, and students pulled together to take care of themselves and the larger community in ways that were nothing less than inspiring. From the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles to the Humane Society of Pasadena and also Change Reaction, the many entities that we collaborated with helped expand our capacity to help. We've seen how tragedy can forge new bonds and strengthen others, and how out of chaos comes opportunities for innovative solutions. Thank you to all of our community partners and to our PCC colleagues and volunteers who helped us take care of ourselves and the community in a time of extraordinary and heartbreaking needs. PCC's response to the wildfire disaster involved critical decisions, thoughtful strategy, and powerful impact. Critical decisions, thoughtful strategy, and powerful impact. That's what we'll share with you tonight as we review some of the events of the last month. Because PCC stood at the epicenter of the tragedy, we had to make fundamental and critical decisions on January 7th when the fires began. We could choose to completely close our campus until the worst of the disaster was over, an option that most institutions took, or another option was to cancel classes and non-essential activities, but keep our campus open so we could serve victims of the fires in our community. We chose to keep our campus open and to spread our arms in wide embrace of our larger community that was suffering one of the worst moments of their lives. The decision to remain open meant that our employees, some of whom lived in burn areas or evacuation areas, left their homes and their families to come to work and serve our community. It meant, yes, please. It meant that PCC, as one of the few institutions up and running, worked on two tracks during this unprecedented crisis. One, addressing the needs of our internal family, and two, supporting our larger community and region. And remaining open literally meant that while others were fleeing a disaster zone, our employees were running into it. Because of this decision, in the earliest stages of the disaster, even as the fires raged, PCC emerged as a stabilizing force in the community. We were exactly what the community needed during those first dark days. A trusted, familiar source whose porch light was on and whose doors were open for everyone. Our actions, born out of our decision to serve, reflect the role colleges must be prepared to play when our larger community is in need. At this moment, we had a strategy. For years, PCC has held intensive monthly training designed to prepare us to deal with crisis incidents. The wildfires required us to put all that we learned to work. Rather than building the plane as we were flying it, PCC implemented a controlled, orderly response that saw groups working in a coordinated effort across the college. Because of the urgency of the moment, our strategy was to work on two tracks: to be accessible to the larger community and assist with meeting their needs, while also restoring the campus and preparing to return to classes and operations as soon as possible. The core group of the incident management team began meeting in the very early morning hours of January 8th. The Emergency Operations Center was activated, and later that morning, our full incident management team reported to our EOC headquarters right here in Creveling. The team began the important work of assessing our campuses while helping to meet the urgent needs of the community. Over the next several days, our facility services staff worked to restore grounds and buildings that had been battered by the windstorm and suffered the side effects of the fires. Our campuses experienced downed trees, branches and leaves, and also ash and smoke damage. PCC staff, as well as contractors, worked diligently to make our grounds and buildings at all locations safe and clean. This included the Colorado campus, as well as the Jefferson Satellite, the CDC, and the Foothill CEC. The PCC Northwest site fell under the direct control and cleanup efforts of PUSD. This work required 10,000 hours of interior cleaning, encompassing 227,000 square feet, 400 hours of pressure washing to clean 1.5 million square feet of the exterior campus, 1,200 HEPA filters replaced in air purifiers in classes and offices across the entire campus, 150 yards of debris that was removed, and 2,500 staff cleanup hours. Throughout this incident, frequent communication was critical. PCC sent email and social media updates to our community, sharing updates and information about resources and support. Our communications team transformed the homepage of our main website to reflect the urgency of the fires and to provide easy access to information. Communications also created a hub on our main website that houses critical information for victims of the wildfires. And the PCC Foundation created an avenue for people who want to help through giving. The foundation created and promoted our Community Relief Fund, which was designed to assist those impacted by the wildfires. In those early days of the disaster, we also began an effort to understand the impact of the fires on our students, faculty, and staff. We created a needs assessment form so PCC would know how to best assist those in our community who were affected by the fire. Our research team also began creating data maps that showed where our community resided and the most impacted areas. On Monday, January 13th, PCC reopened for classes and regular operations. The college provided bottled water and masks to those returning to work and school in the week after the fires began. Our swift and efficient restoration and full opening of our campus would serve our students, staff, and faculty, as well as the larger community. Our impact was significant. From the start of the disaster, PCC has been responding to the needs of the community. For example, the very first day of the fires, a dedicated group of 24 PCC nursing students, recent graduates, and faculty stepped forward and volunteered their time and expertise to support relief efforts at the Red Cross Evacuation Center at the Pasadena Convention Center. I understand we may have some of them here in the audience today. If you are here, can you please stand so we can show our appreciation for your service? This also parallels our history. In fact, to the very first days of our existence. PCC's nursing program was the earliest two-year program in the state and one of the first in the nation. Our nursing students continue this tradition of excellence and service right here in our community. Like our steadfast nursing students, Our Community Emergency Response Team, known as CERT, also reported to the convention center to help. Thanks to our focus on emergency preparedness, we now have 17 individuals who are on the CERT team. I should mention that both our nursing volunteers and our CERT team efforts were in response to a direct request from the Pasadena mayor's office. Our nurses and CERT team assisted some of the most vulnerable and displaced members of our community that were at that convention center on that day. That was the day when we had seniors that were being brought in ambulances from senior living centers that were in the fire. Some of these facilities actually burnt down in the fires. Our nurses and our CERT team were key to supporting those community members, our neighbors that were most in need. In addition, for 4 days, we transformed one of our parking lots on our Colorado campus into a community relief hub for the distribution of essential supplies such as food, water, hygiene kits, and clothing. In collaboration with the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles, this effort served many thousands of our neighbors who lost their homes or had been affected by the fires. The Pasadena Humane Society also used part of our lot to provide relief and support for pets and pet owners in the community. PCC provided nearly 20,000 free meals to thousands of students, faculty, staff, and members of the public, including our local firefighters, teachers, and other critical first responders right here at our Colorado campus. In partnership with the Pasadena Unified School District, we also distributed free meals to families impacted by the fires. That first day of the fires, PUSD could not get their food service workers into their facilities to be able to provide boxed lunches to families that whose children received free lunch at school. So the superintendent asked us if we might be able to help these families, and we did, and they actually came right here. Primo Nosh actually helped serve all of those community members, and we're really, really proud that we were able to do that for our neighbors and our partners at PUSD. To further meet the needs of these families, PCC also joined with the YMCA to offer free childcare on campus for the children of families who were displaced, evacuated, or lost homes, and whose schools were not open. Again, that was a request that was made by the school district. We became a community gathering place at a time when few other spaces were available. We hosted the Pasadena Unified School District for 2 large events: a district-wide community fair for students, families, and staff, and a professional development day for teachers. We also hosted the first in-person community town hall meeting in response to the fire in our gymnasium on January 12th. Our Foothill campus was the home of the Regional Disaster and Recovery Center, which brought together more than 24 federal, state, and local agencies involved in disaster relief. Residents were able to meet with representatives of numerous agencies, including FEMA, all gathered in one place, Pasadena City College. For our students, faculty, and staff most affected by the tragedy, PCC has been an ongoing source of support. Through collaborations with community partners, the college has provided a range of assistance, including emergency housing assistance, as well as monetary support for those who resided in burn areas or in areas that were under mandatory evacuation during the fire. These partnerships with philanthropic and government leaders are providing the investments we need to respond, recover, and rebuild. Our greatest impact may not be quantifiable, but it's important to understand. In one email message, I described our college as a resilient ray of light, offering hope and help during a dark moment in the life of our community. I believe our greatest impact during this time was to provide our community with the help and hope when they needed it most. These are just some of the ways PCC has been there for our students, faculty, and staff, as well as our neighbors and friends. There is much more work to be done, and there will be for years to come. Now, as we transition from crisis, response, and into rebuilding, PCC is committed to being a leader as our community reimagines what comes next. We are strengthening our partnership with the Pasadena Unified School District, rethinking our ties to help meet their expanded needs. We are working with community and corporate partners to develop a workforce equipped for rebuilding. The fire has created an urgent need for skilled workers in construction, mitigation, environmental testing, infrastructure, and community planning, to name a few. At the same time, our people need jobs. PCC will train the workforce that will rebuild the region, providing good jobs that allow people to stay in their communities, in the neighborhoods that they know best. As a community college with deep roots, PCC is positioned to marshal resources that impact the entire region. We are a catalyst for caring and a force for the future. Throughout our history, we've accepted the responsibility of meeting the needs of our community. One example of this was PCC's construction program. Our students' class projects were actual houses built on campus. The first 13 homes that PCC students built were featured as model homes right here on campus. They had names like the Aristocrat, the Hawaiian, the solar-powered home. By the way, those first 13 homes were built between 1948 and 1962. That's right. 70 years ago, we were ahead of our time planning for a sustainable world. Those homes were purchased by families and were then moved into the community, into Altadena and Pasadena. One such home, recently lost in the wildfires, was a testament to PCC's role in building both structures and also lives. History has taught us well. History has taught us well. We've built before, and we will do it again. This past month, PCC has been at its best, rising to the challenges with courage, compassion, and a commitment to those we serve. As we move forward on the road to recovery, we will draw on our shared history to shape a future that reflects our values and our vision. I am confident that together we will meet this moment just as we always have. We look forward to walking that path with you. Thank you. Answer questions?
Thank you, Dr. Gomez, for that presentation, and I'll open it up in a second to my colleagues as well. But I just wanted to continue my train of thought from the very beginning really quickly, just thinking, I think every single one of our colleagues here in this room were here in the days immediately from the beginning of the fire, whether in the community or here in the response room, and walking in here and seeing some of that work happen and the breakneck pace, of how everything was going. It was just extraordinary to witness. I remember the day after the fires began, being at the evacuation center and seeing the frenzy, quite frankly, and the need, and for our both the nursing program and for our incident management team to show up and be there when the city needed help was truly extraordinary to see. And over the next few days, transforming our campus into a spot where community members who know us because they trust us and they know that we are a place that they can come in the community to then receive essential need, water and food and clothing. It's been really heartening and in many ways empowering during these challenging times to see our community stand up in this way in service of our Pasadena and Altadena family. So thank you for the presentation, just kind of going over all of that, Dr. Gomez. And any of my colleagues have any other points or questions or anything like that, please go ahead. Dr. Gomez, excuse me, Trustee Gibson.
Yeah, I want to express my appreciation to the staff of PCC, all the departments that put in extra time and effort and energy during this disaster. I really want to thank everyone who showed commitment and extra effort to help during this time. I appreciate the administration and everyone on campus who came together and helped in this extraordinary time of need and disaster to show the best and the best example of what could be done. So I really want to give my thanks and appreciation to everybody who put in the effort. Thank you.
Anyone else on this item? Anyone say anything? Okay. Oh, Trustee Aragon, did you want to? Oh,
No, just thank you for this presentation. I knew some of the things, but not everything. So it was interesting and informative, and I am very appreciative.
Okay, Trustee Chen now.
Go ahead.
I echo Chair Alton Wine's sentiments, as well as my colleague Steve's sentiments as well, and certainly want to express to Steve, your loss. So it was so personal, and to you and Charlotte for what you've gone through. And yet you are still traveling on behalf of PCC to represent us. So thank you so much, Steve, for your dedication to the community and to the PCC community. There's a reason why this is called a community college, and I feel that in this time of great need, the community came together, and it's a staff, it's a faculty, it's administrators, and I also like to recognize Dr. Gomez for his leadership, throughout this time. We were getting text messages, from him, Brown Act compliant, every day, multiple times a day, to keep us abreast of what was happening on the ground here at PCC. And to him and his team, thank you for keeping the lines of communications open with PUSD and also with the city of Pasadena. So again, my sincere appreciation to everyone here at PCC.
Trustee Aragon, did you?
Yeah, just again, thank you so much, Dr. Gomez, for your presentation and your leadership, and I echo my colleagues' sentiments. And I especially, of course, want to thank the staff and even the students and the community that were out there. Many of you are in this room. Please know you have my full heart. I was out there with you, but it really just solidified my faith in people kind for your wonderful efforts. And I just want to share that the California Senate recognized the college, and it's recorded. We have a copy of that. So I want to express that to you, that we were all recognized by the California Senate, and also this week in Washington, D.C., we were also recognized by the sitting president. So nationally, we have a lot of people behind us, so we'll continue to do the good work that we need to do to recover and take care of our students, especially when it comes to trauma-informed care, because that's a big priority. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for your participation. As Trustee Chen Lao said, that we are a community college, and to watch all of our districts and government agencies coordinate to work together and to bring the community together in order to service a population that has been that has suffered an extreme loss. I'd like to extend thanks also to our nursing program and to the nurses that came out. There is nothing more satisfying than to meet people in their greatest time of need in meeting their physical needs, especially in an area where it's a skill, and it takes a degree of education, and there are not a lot of people that know how to meet that need. And so for the faculty and the dean that takes their time outside of regular working hours and to just call to the call of duty, and to know that their first ethical oath is to serve others. And of course, they are to do no harm in serving others. That is one of their first callings. And to say that my job in providing health care extends beyond just work, it extends beyond the classroom. And at the nursing graduation, they know that it is one of the finest professions, because it just meets people exactly where they need it the most. And they're a hidden hero that most people don't see. You see the physicians, you don't necessarily see all of the support that comes in rendering care. So thank you very much to the nursing department, and to provide that opportunity for our students.
I'll go to Student Trustee Wong, and then I'll go to Trustee Liu after Student Trustee Wong.
Yes, I just, on the behalf of students, really wanted to express my gratitude to Dr. Gomez and the emergency response team. The Monday after the outburst of the fire, Dr. Gomez took the time to visit Associated Students' emergency meetings, both sessions, both in the morning and in the evening, to make sure that he was addressing all of our questions and making sure that we had all the right information to share and forward with our students. And so from the student community, it's really needless to say that we were all proud to have college leadership that did not hesitate to become such an important relief hub for the community, and at such a great capacity. And also, these efforts would not have been possible without the staff that generously dedicated their time and efforts, including the facilities team that ensured that campus would be an accessible, clean, and safe place, and all of the staff and volunteers that showed up in this time of need. And I was also very inspired by my peers, all the students that were present in relief efforts, clubs that work to garner support, as well as the students that have been impacted and are still steadfastly working to continue and complete their winter intersession. And that would not have been possible without the contributions of the college and of all the staff and faculty. So thank you.
Thank you, Student Trustee Wong. And then I'll now go to Trustee Liu.
Yeah, I echo all my colleagues' words, and I wish I could be there in person to thank all of you for the work that you did during this time. I, like many of the trustees, were able to be at the donation distribution drive, and I remember the first day was just coming together, but by the end of that drive, there were so many volunteers and so many people wanting to donate that we were actually at capacity, and I think that speaks to the fact that PCC really did become a beacon of hope and a beacon for people to feel like there were people looking after each other. And there were plenty of people who at the event said that was the first introduction to PCC, and what an introduction for PCC to the community in terms of stepping up to the plate. So I just wanted to congratulate all, the staff and the, Dr. Gomez and his team and everyone for making that possible, especially while many of those folks were also dealing with the effects of the fires themselves. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to my colleagues for all your comments. For this item, does anybody have any specific questions or anything like that for Dr. Gomez as he's up there? If not, thank you again, Dr. Gomez, for your presentation, and thank you for your leadership during this time as well. Okay. Our next item is item J2, and so these are now going to be a series of actions that are related to our fire response. Just to give a quick overview of where we have, because I know it's not normal for our agendas to have this structure. We have a few resolutions that are directly related to responding to this emergency, to this crisis, including proclaiming the existence of a local emergency, work that needed to be done immediately in response, including restoring our campus, thanks to the facilities team and our contractors, and a commitment on behalf of the college to continue supporting this work, and then a series of MOUs, as my colleagues already know, in relation to the work that our dedicated faculty, staff, and managers have been doing on our campus. So we're going to take these actually one by one, because we do have a few comments on a couple of these items. And so for our first item, J2, resolution number 841, proclaiming the existence of a local emergency, I have a public comment from the gentleman in the Long Beach sweater.
Right. Long Beach in the house, Inglewood, Boyle Heights. And how do I provide you this information? Smooth, like Vaseline, or should I just grease it down your throats? A local emergency, back in the days when I worked at County USC with the first AIDS populations, that was a hell of a crisis. A hell of a crisis. And to the nurses here and the nurses in the future, thank you for getting the balls to do something which you learn and know how to do, save lives and protect lives. Just like I did at one time, back at County USC, internal medicine, 8th floor, for 6 years. The first AIDS wards, and believe me, the crisis was when they ran out of gloves, no work. Why is that? Because we were all afraid what contamination or the spread of this crisis of a disease was going to inflict upon us nurses. So some of us walked out. Some of us stayed home. But the issue is, we are badass when it comes to emergencies. And just because you wear a white uniform or whatever color you wear, one time I had someone in my family tell me, you look like a faggot wearing that uniform. To the day they ended up in that bed and I was at their side. And that's just a point of view, a real view. But going back to this emergency, let's not look to the negativity of now's destruction, but let us build. Donald Trump came here to California for a reason. Drill, 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 baby, and we're going to build, build, build. Because if we wait for new scum, if we wait for the ideas of LA to show us how to build, we will be in a time capsule of stupidity. As you heard, one man, a fucking Jew, Steve Soboroff, gonna get $500,000
So this item, resolution number 841, proclaiming the existence of a local emergency. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Chen Lao. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Gibson. Thank you very much. Any further discussion on this item? Okay, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Student trustee Wang,
Aye.
trustee Aragon,
Aye.
trustee Chen Lao,
Aye.
trustee Gibson,
Aye.
trustee Kwong,
Aye.
trustee Liu, trustee Liu,
Aye.
thank you. Trustee Silver,
Aye.
trustee Wang.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, next is resolution number 842, the emergency repair work authorization. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Silver. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Chen Lao. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to roll call. Thank you.
Student trustee Wang,
Aye.
trustee Aragon,
Aye.
trustee Chen Lao,
Aye.
trustee Gibson,
Aye.
trustee Kwong,
Aye.
trustee Silver,
Aye.
trustee Liu,
Aye.
trustee Wang.
Aye. Thank you. And then our next resolution, item J4, resolution number 844, in recognition of the impact of the Eaton fire and the Pasadena City College's recovery efforts. If my colleagues would indulge me, I would just like to read the resolve clauses into the record here, just to really highlight it. So for this resolution, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Pasadena Area Community College District stands in solidarity to help those families, neighbors, and community members who have been impacted by the Eaton fire. And be it further resolved that the board salutes the staff, faculty, and students at Pasadena City College who have risen to support our community during a time of immense need. And be it further resolved that the board is committed to supporting our community and those impacted in the Eaton fire and directs the superintendent president to take all appropriate steps to support our community throughout this recovery and response. To be passed and adopted this February 12th, 2025. May I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Aragon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Chen Lao. Any discussion on this item?
Did you say roll call?
No, I was just saying any discussion. If there's no discussion, now we're going to go roll call.
Student trustee Wang,
Aye.
trustee Aragon,
Aye.
trustee Chen Lao,
Aye.
trustee Gibson,
Aye.
trustee Kwong,
Aye.
trustee Silver,
Aye.
trustee Wang,
Aye.
trustee Liu.
Aye.
And trustee Liu, thank you for being with us on Zoom. I just wanted to note that you're unmuted, so we might hear some feedback right now, just in case. Okay.
Aye.
No worries. Okay. Next is our MOUs. We do have one public comment, but there is no name on this item. So,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
on these MOUs, will we be able to vote on them together, or do they need to be separate?
Please make a motion.
Okay. But do I need to make a motion first, or do the public comment come first?
There's no name on it, so
Okay.
I don't have a comment here.
So I would like to make a motion to approve items 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 together.
Great. Thank you so much, trustee Chen Lao. That's moved by trustee Chen Lao. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Aragon. Any discussion on this? Okay, seeing none, we'll go now to a roll call vote on J5 through 9. Oh, and because these are personnel issues, a student trustee won't vote.
Are you ready for roll call?
Yes, thank you.
Trustee Aragon,
Aye.
trustee Chen Lao,
Aye.
trustee Gibson,
Aye.
trustee Kwong,
Aye.
trustee Silver,
Aye.
trustee Wang,
Aye.
trustee Liu.
That was an aye. Thank you. And our last item for our fire response, J10, which is the appropriation of funds in order to support the disaster relief. Do I have a motion to approve the interfund transfer?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Silver. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Gibson. Any discussion on this item? Okay, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Student trustee Wang,
Aye.
Trustee Aragon.
Aye.
Trustee Chin Lau.
Aye.
Trustee Gibson.
Aye.
Trustee Kwong.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Liu.
Aye.
Thank you. And thank you again to everyone's work on the fire response. I know it's been a lot of work for a lot of people here in this room from the very first day all the way to now. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. We're deeply appreciative of all of your work. Okay, we're going to move to action items recommended for approval. The first item is K1, the nominations for California Community College Trustee Board. This is to renominate, actually, Trustee Silver to serve on the CCCT board. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'm so sorry. Oh, Student Trustee Wong moved. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Aragon. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Student Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Aragon.
Aye.
Trustee Chin Lau.
Aye.
Trustee Gibson.
Aye.
Trustee Kwong.
Aye.
Trustee Silver. Can she?
Aye.
Yes. Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Liu.
Aye.
Okay. Our next item is item K2, which is our resolution commemorating Black Heritage Month. We have one public comment from the speaker in the Long Beach hoodie.
There is no struggle, there is no progress. Black Heritage Month is important for all of us because we're all brothers and sisters. We all bleed the same and we all cry and die the same. And God help you all because these are the last days. You are living in the last days and I am God to remind you. As an Anunnaki, a God of gods who will be destroyed by our Father, one God, Yahweh, we will learn that there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And that reason, because Frederick Douglass says, if we change our minds, once you learn to read, you will be forever free. Those of you here in college, those of you who have jobs, and those of you who are looking to the future, Frederick Douglass was an intelligent African-American man, a true man. People might not get all they work for in this world, but they must certainly work for all they get. Why did Frederick Douglass say that? Do you have an answer? I hell don't. But the answer is that maybe because no man, not a gentleman, can insult me. Because I've already assaulted all of you by my First Amendment. Followed by the Fifth Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and Article section of the California Constitution regarding enforcement of unconstitutional rules, because Frederick Douglass taught me to learn, to read, to fight, and to know that the struggle of every black African American man and every dark-skinned man, just like we, the great Native Americans, know that there is only one God, one true God, and He will free you from your sins when you realize that the end is near, which not one of you nor myself know. But the time of judgment is coming. Beware. For the record, sir. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve resolution number 838 commemorating Black Heritage Month this month of February 2025?
Move to approve.
Moved by Trustee Gibson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Aragon. Any discussion on this item?
I just wanted to say one thing that I think is very important. I know that many of us are aware of the history of the African American community in the Altadena area, in the Pasadena area, and those families and those communities that were devastated. And I just think that this is an important time for us to reaffirm our commitment to those communities and returning to their homes and their properties and their communities and not losing that community. I think I just needed to say that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to a roll call vote on this item.
Student Trustee Wong,
Aye.
Trustee Aragon,
Aye.
Trustee Chin Lau,
Aye.
Trustee Gibson,
Aye.
Trustee Kwong,
Aye.
Trustee Silver,
Aye.
Trustee Wong,
Aye.
Trustee Liu.
Aye.
Thank you, that passes. Okay, our next item is item K3, resolution number 839, commemorating International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Silver. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Gibson. Any discussion? Okay, we'll move to a roll call vote.
Student Trustee Wong,
Aye.
Trustee Aragon,
Aye.
Trustee Chin Lau,
Aye.
Trustee Gibson,
Aye.
Trustee Kwong,
Aye.
Trustee Silver,
Aye.
Trustee Wong,
Aye.
Trustee Liu.
Aye.
That passes. Thank you very much, everyone. Our next item is resolution number 845, in support of undocumented and LGBTQ plus students and affirming Pasadena City College as a safe learning environment. We do have one public comment on this item. Mr. Shaganaka.
Board Secretary, I have 3 minutes remaining. Is that correct? Okay, so safe learning environment. I just want to make sure, did I hear you correctly? Safe learning environment for LGBT. I really want to show all of the emails between me and the student life dean. I really want to show everybody, project it on the big screen. But I also understand transparency is something never will be tolerated under our DEI leadership, Jose Gamaz. I really want to make sure, I want to show all of the appointments, all of the discussion I had with all of numerous administrators, so-called quotation mark administrators, who are in charge of either LGBT or either DEI. I remember our superintendent, Jose Gamaz, sent an email to everybody about somebody take the flag of the Pride Center down, destroy the flag several months ago, I believe. At the same time, do we have any response? Do we have any update for that incident? No, because we understand this leadership is about no reply, no update, no follow-up. So when the 2 police officers showed up to my classroom and they're trying to take me out of the classroom, because I tell my professor that I identify as a woman, I will be a woman, and I will only use a female name and a female gender pronoun. And then 2 of the Pasadena City College cops showed up. That was really safe. Absolutely, that was so safe. I really want to, live in this classroom because this classroom is so safe. Anything I do, either I got an appointment with our student conduct, either I got an appointment with our student, whatever officer, or either I got some sort of a DEI Title IX complaint, whatever. This is so safe. And I want to inform my professor who kicked me out of his class 2 times in a row. For wearing my dress, for wearing my shirt, for wearing my hat, for express my gender identity. Next time, I will not leaving. I will not be complying because I did my research that they cannot arrest me. And then, by the way, in the event they want to arrest me because of my gender, because of my apparel, because of my hat, because of my t-shirt, I want to invite our Pasadena City College Police Department, please arrest me. I will be ready. And then I want to apologize to our administrator that I always comply. Whatever they told me, my professor told me, the dean told me, I always comply. I comply. I don't know how to fight for my own rights. But at the same time, right now, today, I learned that not every single order I have to follow. If your order is out of policy, if your order is out of
Your time has expired. Your time has expired. Your time has expired. Your time has expired. Okay, so for this resolution, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Aragon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by student trustee Wong. Discussion? I just wanted to really quickly, I helped author this resolution because I wanted to be sure that we as a board made clear where our support is for our community here on campus, certainly for our students. And I know the work that has already been ongoing in our Dream Center, in our Pride Center, in support of students during these times. I believe really firmly that we continue to be a space and environment that supports our students and our community. And that's why I think our resolve clauses and the action that the board's taking through this resolution is really critical, which is now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Pasadena Area Community College District reaffirms our support for undocumented immigrant and LGBTQ+ students, recommits to serving, supporting, and celebrating all as integral members of our community, and be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees declares that the district is a safe space for all students and, unless required by law or California Education Code, will of its own accord not release any personal identifiable information, student information, including any data related to immigration status, without a judicial warrant, subpoena, or court order, unless authorized by the student or required by law, not cooperate with any effort to create a registry of individuals based on any protected characteristics such as religion, national origin, race, gender identity, or sexual orientation, and continue to advocate for educational opportunities for all students in the community college system, regardless of immigration status at the state and federal level. Thank you. Any other comments on this item before I move to a roll call vote?
Any other? I'd like to just make a comment.
Go ahead.
I want to, any of my colleagues first.
No,
I feel like
go
I'm
ahead.
taking-
I'm calling you.
I know the work, I know that these resolutions are important, but as you said, the work that goes on this campus, I know firsthand. But I wanted to share, by attending these conferences at the state level and at the national level, the work that is going on nationally for these communities. Please let that encourage you, because I know a lot of times on the news, we catch the sound bites and the negative stuff that tends to divide us, but I just wanted to assure you, and it was extremely uplifting for me to be with my colleagues, other trustees and CEOs throughout the country that are working at colleges that are doing the same thing. So it was just extremely motivating, uplifting, and I wanted to share that with all of you, and especially the students.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to a roll call vote.
Student trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Aragon.
Aye.
Trustee Chin Lau.
Aye.
Trustee Gibson.
Aye.
Trustee Kwong.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Liu.
Aye.
Thank you. That passes unanimously. Okay. Our next item is K5, approval of the memorandum of understanding. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Silver. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Gibson. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. We'll move to a roll call. Thank you.
Trustee
Sorry.
Aragon.
Aye.
Trustee Chin Lau.
Aye.
Trustee Gibson.
Aye.
Trustee Kwong.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Liu.
Aye.
And then we have three more action items on this agenda, which is K6, certification of signatures, K7, an interfund transfer, and also K8, which is an authorization to submit our 311Q. Would anybody like to make a motion for all three of those items?
I'll make a motion that we consolidate items 5 through 8.
6 through 8.
Oh, sorry, 6 through 8.
Thank you so much. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second. There's a motion to approve those three items by trustee Kwong, seconded by trustee Gibson. Any discussion on these items? Seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote on those three items.
Student trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Aragon.
Aye.
Trustee Chin Lau.
Aye.
Trustee Gibson.
Aye.
Trustee Kwong.
Aye.
Trustee Silver.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Liu.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll next move to our information items. The first one is our superintendent president's report. Go ahead, Dr. Gomez.
Thank you, Board President Wong, and thank you all again. Thank all my trustee colleagues for your service and commitment to our community. I didn't mention it during my presentation because I wanted to mention it now, but our leadership at the campus, every one of these trustees has been working tirelessly, not only for this college, but for everyone who we serve in this region, in Pasadena and Altadena, Sierra Madre. Even if they don't represent those areas, they have been working very, very hard, answering the phone, showing up, volunteering, and I really appreciate your partnership and your service. It keeps us moving forward as we recover, respond, and rebuild. But I just wanted to take just one more brief moment to personally acknowledge one of our trustees, Trustee Gibson. His service and leadership over the past 5 weeks has really been extraordinary. I want to thank you for how much you have been present in the community at this time of immense tragedy for our region, but more specifically for your neighborhood. You represent Altadena and Northwest Pasadena in this room, on this board, and you have been out there on the ground, meeting with community members, asking questions of those with authority, and carrying out the responsibility of your constituents through this immensely difficult time. You have experienced so much personally, as have your family and your neighbors, and you still demonstrate such leadership and care for those you serve. And I just want to thank you for that, because you are an example to all of us.
Yes.
I also would like to propose that we adjourn in memory of the 29 Southern California residents who lost their lives in the fires. 17 of them were our neighbors here in Dena. We hold them, their families, and friends, and all of our community in our hearts. So I ask that we adjourn in their memory. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gomez. We'll now go to announcements by shared governance representatives and then the Board of Trustees. We'll begin with our Associated Students President, President Martinez.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. I want to just first acknowledge the Eaton fire once again and the devastation and uncertainty it brought. And our thoughts and prayers go out to those affected by the fires. ASPCC has been meeting regularly throughout the winter to prep for the spring and extend our support system. We also hosted a training for our ASPCC committees to grow a sense of community and plan for the spring in their respective groups. And next week, the first week of spring, OSL, in partnership with AS, will host Welcome Me. I would like to extend an invitation to the board and members of the PCC community to come out and welcome back our Lancers. We'll have food trucks, campus resources, and even a game truck to come out. That will be on the days Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursday of next week. I also want to make it known that the first 2 weeks of school, there will be a drop-in counseling and registration support in the L building for any student to come by. And I'm pretty sure it's from 9 to 6. So if you guys know anyone, a good place to send them. I also wanted to thank the outreach, pathway staff, and student workers there for hosting and grading the online winter jam, which gave incoming students an opportunity to be a part of the Pathways program going on to the spring. And as we head into the spring, we Associated Students are dedicated to continue supporting our students and working close with the Board of Trustees, administration, and staff. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Classified Senate.
Good afternoon, Board of Trustees. As our community continues to recover from the devastation of the recent wildfires, on behalf of the Classified Senate, we want to express our deepest sympathy to those who lost so much and send our heartfelt support during this difficult time. We also want to extend our gratitude to all the staff, volunteers, organizations who work tirelessly to provide aid and comfort to those in need. As our community continues to rebuild, we want to assure our classified staff that we stand ready to assist in any way possible. If there is any specific needs, suggestions, or resources that would help, we welcome those conversations to be a source of support and solidarity. A special thank you goes to the Dream Research Center and IEDJ for their incredible efforts in gathering undocumented resources for staff and students. As we look forward to the start of the spring semester, we encourage all to sign up in the What's Huts. Although our Senate has been on break during winter, we are set to reconvene March 5th and look forward to continuing our work together. In closing, we'd like to take a moment to welcome our newest members of the classified staff: Michael Alamo, Ariana Atik, Jennifer Delgadio, Michael Diaz, Esteban Ramirez, Matthew Mendoza, Jolene Pimental, Habib Tajian, Minal Hanif, Olivia Leadbetter, Michael Mensis, and Nicolette Lucereno. Lastly, we want to recognize Carmenita Velez, a registered nurse in our student health services. After 16 years of dedicated service to the college and many more years working part-time since 2001, Carmenita will be retiring. She is beloved by our campus community and always made sure to put our students first. We wish her the best in her future endeavors. That concludes our share out. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Management Association?
Yes, good evening. I want to begin by giving a big thank you and recognizing all my colleagues who, during one of the most tragic events in our region's history, stepped up to support and serve our community. During the fires that impacted many of our students, colleagues, family, and friends, the unwavering commitment of service across PCC was truly remarkable to witness. Similarly, as a new federal administration takes office, our state, our city, and college continue to step up to support our most vulnerable students. A big shout out to our Director of Intercultural Engagement, Dr. Radhika Kandelwal, and the staff at the Dream Resource Center for continuously providing workshops for staff and students on what it means to know your rights. The Management Association would like to thank Dr. Thea Alvarado for her service as Dean of Social Sciences, and we wish her well in her future endeavors. And in that same spirit, the MA would like to give a warm welcome to Lizzie Okoro Davidson's Director, no longer interim, of the Women's Business Center, Jason Lucas, Supervisor of Police and Safety Services, Christina Serrano, who's our new Supervisor in Human Resources, Chia Song Soon, a Supervisor of Purchasing and Contract Services, and Doctora Cristina Salazar Romo, Interim Dean of Social Sciences. And if I may, being that she's a personal friend, Doctora Salazar Romo brings over 2 decades of teaching experience. She is also a dedicated advocate, serving as a board member of Colegas, which is the California Community College's Organización de Latinx Empowerment, Guidance, and Advocacy for Students, and a former member of the PCC Association Latino Employees Board. We welcome all of our new members of our leadership team. Lastly, I want to close by giving a big thank you to one of the strongest allies and advocates I have had the pleasure of working with, someone who has pushed for inclusion and equity at all facets of the college and led by example at the highest level, our recent VP of Business Administrative Services, Candace Jones. She has set example of coalition building at Pasadena City College, PACT, which is the coalition of employee groups, PCC John, Ale, Cape, and Tabe, comprised of many administrators, established its inaugural award known as the Candace Jones Impact Excellence Award. This award was created with 4 leadership traits: perseverance, allyship, community building, and trust building. It's obvious that VP Jones' departure has certainly left some big shoes to fill. But with that, Dr. Gomez and the trustees, the MA eagerly looks forward to supporting the selection process of our 2 vacant VP positions in Student Services and Business Administrative Services, and we stand ready to contribute in any way that we can. And in recognition of Black History Month, I'd like to quote our former First Lady, Michelle Obama. She said that history has shown us that courage can be contagious and hope can take on a life of its own. In the wake of the fires, the assault on our marginalized populations, and the needs of each other, I ask that we continue to be courageous and give our students and community hope. And in closing, the MA would like to wish everyone a prosperous year of the snake. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Academic Senate.
Thank you. We in Senate are preparing and excited for the spring semester to begin, and we are encouraging faculty to participate in the What Huts next week. Also, during this winter session, in the immediate aftermath of the fires, I was welcomed into the room with the emergency response team and was therefore able to stay in contact with faculty regarding fire updates and other opportunities for resources and support. We even created a short fire updates video in ASL for our deaf and hard of hearing community. We are grateful to the college and specifically Dr. Jose Gomez and Dr. Candace Jones for their response to the fire and ongoing support of those of us in need in our community. We in Senate are also working with other areas on campus to serve students and include faculty at graduation. I will share more information about this soon. And this spring semester, we will be looking to accomplish the goals from fall that we set for ourselves for the year, including the working group on AI and a campus-wide AI policy, and other guidance from our own social justice committee. Here's to a successful start to a new semester and a happy Black History Month. Thank you for listening. That's my report.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all of you. We'll now move to the dais here, and we'll go first to our student trustee, Trustee Wong.
Yes, I understand that these were items on the agenda, but I would like to take this time to acknowledge our undocumented and Black student communities. I would like to thank the Dream Resource Center for their hard work in ensuring that undocumented students feel supported and know their rights. They have been taking immediate and persistent action to uphold a sense of community and care for students' academic and personal needs. One thing I've been reminding offices in Sacramento and in DC is the intersectionality of marginalized identities and experiences. And with the complexity of those circumstances, it is important to be present and to be advocates for all of our student communities. In addition, to commemorate Black History Month, Associated Students and the Office of Student Life will be holding events. We are inviting African drummers to perform at noon next Tuesday for Welcome Week, as well as catering food from a Black-owned small business, Dee Dee's Chicken and Cat Shack, whose owners are from Pasadena. In addition, we will be hosting a movie night on the 28th at 5:30 p.m. in the Wi-Fi Lounge, as well as supporting Ujima's African Fest with food. And I would like to echo one statement that Associated Students Advisor Carrie Afuso repeats to us, and that it is our intention and it is important to celebrate Black excellence and Black achievement all the time and not just during the month of February. And we will remain steadfast in that.
Thank you. We'll go to Trustee Silver.
I have heard from a number of Pasadena Unified School District board members and administration about how pleased they were to work with our president, Dr. Gomez, and the PCC people. That the phrase that I remember is that Superintendent Blanco said, PCC was incredible. We would ask for something, and the first word that Dr. Gomez said was yes. And then he would figure out how to make it happen. And I'm so pleased because it's a lot easier to say, no, we can't do that. Not really, but yes is the kind of word that I am just so happy to have heard, and may it continue. I think also the silver lining of this is the connection that we've made with PUSD, and I think that good things will come from this. I'm optimistic. Many of us on the board and Student Trustee Wong were just recently in both Sacramento and Washington, D.C., where we spoke with our representatives. And speaking of student support, of how diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility isn't just a catchphrase. It isn't just something you put on the website, but it's supporting students. It's giving students what they need to succeed and excel and pursue their dreams. So whatever it may be called in the future, I know PCC's commitment to our students' success and our faculty and staffs is unwavering, and I'm very pleased about that. Just a couple things. I happen to like economics, so this caught my eye in Sacramento. We had a government relations person speak to us about the budget, and this turned out to be a very good budget year. Very good, a good budget year, but the future is uncertain. A couple of reasons. 1/3 of the revenue for the state of California comes back to us through the federal government. Even though we are net givers to the federal government, they still hold on to 1/3 of our revenue, so that is something to consider. And also that California has a steeply progressive income tax system where the top earners are steeply taxed. And the same goes for corporations. And we depend to an alarming amount on the profits of 4 companies. Our state budget is really supported by Apple, Google, Meta, and NVIDIA. So as you look at the outcomes of those 4 companies, that will inform us about our state budget and our own funding. Issues that we advocated for with our state legislators were covering COLA for all categoricals, about providing funding for deferred maintenance and updated instructional equipment, and consistently supporting the community college funding, which they have done up to now in a very good way. In Washington, we met with Representatives Judy Chu and Laura Friedman, and with a staff member of Representative George Whiteside's office. And issues that we talked about with them, we focused a lot on Pell Grants. There's an odd quirk in the tax code where Pell Grants for our California community college students cover living expenses, which is unusual in many states because their tuition is so much higher than our California community college tuition. And so because the living expenses dollars come to the students directly instead of the institution, they can be taxed on that. So we strongly advocated for tax-free Pels. If a student qualifies for a Pell Grant, just make it tax-free and be done with it. And along with that was the difficulty in over half of the California students in getting SNAP, the food benefit. The bureaucracy and the red tape for our students to get the SNAP benefit, which they qualify for, is causing more than half to not get that. And we asked again, can we streamline and reduce bureaucracy? And if a student qualifies for Pell, they automatically qualify for SNAP. And those are the main things. There were other issues as well, but we are doing our best in these times to find issues that would be palatable to both sides of the aisle to continue to make progress for our community colleges. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Because Trustee Liu is next in spirit, let's go to Trustee Liu next.
Got it. Thank you. I'm going to keep this really short because I'm currently a floating head that can't mute myself accordingly on the technology. But I just wanted to, again, express my appreciation for everyone. Thank Trustee Gibson for his leadership during this time when he's been affected by the fires as well. And I want to thank the neighboring cities surrounding Pasadena. My trustee area doesn't include Pasadena, but I've really seen the folks in Almonte, San Gabriel, Arcadia, Temple City, and Rosemead step up and provides for their neighbors in Altadena and Pasadena. So I want to thank them for all their donations, monetary, non-monetary, and I'm just grateful again for everyone's support during this time. And I look forward to seeing everyone soon at the next board meeting. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Liu. We'll go to the end of the dais and we'll go to Trustee Aragón.
Oh, yes, I wasn't expecting that. Usually it's the other way. I just want to say Happy New Year because I didn't get a chance to say that. Happy Black History Month and Happy Lunar New Year. I'm not going to go over, Tammy covered a lot of what happened in Sacramento and Washington, D.C. I just wanted to add that for the students, again, specifically the leadership that you have in our trustee and our vice president of external affairs is phenomenal. I had the opportunity to watch them and speak to our Congress people and our representatives, and I'm very proud of you. Our campus, I'm sure, I could speak for the campus. They have great leaders. So it was wonderful to see that because it's about our students. There were hundreds of students in Washington, D.C. doing the same thing. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. And that'll conclude my report.
Thank you. Trustee Kwong?
That's very good, yes. So earlier this last week, I had facilitated the invitation of the Southern California Chinese Lawyers Association. It is one of the largest Asian bar associations in the state of California. And they put a legal clinic here on the PCC campus at their request, at the request of the Vice President Jeffrey Kwong and the President Vicky Cho, who are both attorneys. And they spent their the volunteer time putting together an esteemed panel to provide legal information and resources to those that are interested in hearing more about legal remedies that are available. And I was very impressed with the panel that they put together. They had 5 or 6 people from FEMA that showed up to provide resources. Then they brought in people from the Small Business Administration to provide information. And they brought in the public adjuster that adjusted the Lahaina fires. And she told me that the day the fires in Lahaina occurred, she was deployed from California and she flew out to Maui the very next day. And she was here at the PCC campus explaining to us her role in public adjusting for natural disasters and what homeowners need to do. And I just thought that was just very fascinating. Representative Chu was also in attendance, and I thought she was going to do a nice welcome. She actually spoke for a good 25 to 30 minutes, explaining to people about how to apply for aid with FEMA and what to do in working with FEMA, what happens if you get turned down, and how to challenge it. So she was very, very good. I'd like to thank the interpreters that showed up that interpreted Chinese languages in Cantonese and Mandarin. 4 of those were PCC students that were studying in your translation department, and 2 of them were from the Chinese club, so that in our community that also offered to provide translation. So that was it was a very good panel, and they're very grateful for the assistance from the president and also from Alex Buckelheid, who helped facilitate and help them organize and to provide them the classroom. So thank you very much. The PCC was also at the Lunar New Year Festival for the city of San Marino, and there were 2 PCC students that were at the table providing information to parents and students that were interested.
Thank you. Trustee Chanao?
Thank you. Thank you. It's hard to believe that it's only February, right? So much has happened in the last months and since our last meeting, and it's hard sometimes to make sense of all that is happening around us. And I wanted to share this blessing that Reverend Matthew Hain, who is a reverend locally, that he shared to help us understand and to process all that's around us. He said, quote, "Amidst fires, politics, crisis, and disruptions, may the gift of choice that fuel your heroism within the moment of trial, and may your greatest disruption lead to your greatest triumph." And I'm very sure that in this time of disruption, that we will see the triumph of our community come through in this road of recovery and rebuilding. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Chanao. Trustee Gibson?
Yeah, I want to again express my thanks to the PCC campus and all of the PCC family for the support given to me and other survivors of the fires in Altadena and Pasadena. I want to give thanks for that. Happy Lunar New Year. I was pleased to attend a joint event here on campus for Lunar New Year by TABE, CAPE, and other groups on IJ staff and others that organized this wonderful event where brought together the two cultures around Lunar New Year. So that was a great event that we had here. Another event I attended at the Community College League of California up in Sacramento was at that weekend of legislative visits, the Black Caucus of the league gave awards to colleges and staff around the state who had exhibited excellence in helping black students succeed in the community college system. So that was a wonderful event to attend that I had helped organize over the past year. So I was so pleased to attend that up in Sacramento. As a new board member of Climate Resolve, we had a meeting a few weeks ago where they talked about research they've done about the Pasadena fire and found that more particulate mass was put into the air than when the Twin Towers collapsed. So that was a disturbing news to hear, and they have more information up on their website. So there's still a lot happening, and it'll be a long time to recover, and we'll continue making these efforts. So thanks, everybody, for participating. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Gibson. And I want to begin my report by echoing some of the things that we've certainly heard to you already, Trustee Gibson, in your leadership during this time. Within days of this disaster, you're with us in Sacramento advocating on behalf of students and our community and our campus, including advocating for support for the recovery from these fires. So I wanted to thank you for your leadership, and it has been a source of inspiration and strength for me as well as we've been moving through the last month or so. So thank you. I want to also echo again the gratitude to everyone here, to our campus community, to our students, faculty, and staff, to the facility staff, the nursing program, to our emergency response team, to every single volunteer that came through our campus over the last many weeks. It has been certainly an extremely devastating time for our community, but when we talk about the power and strength of Pasadena City College on how we treat each other as a community, it was readily apparent that the without question a desire to help and lend a hand was very apparent. And I kept getting texts about when can we volunteer, when can we volunteer, when can we donate, when can we donate. And that was really a powerful moment as we as a community begin this road to recovery. And in this road to recovery, we know that more assistance will be necessary for our communities, including for those that have been impacted here at Pasadena City College, which is why when we were in Sacramento, part of our asks to the state legislature was to provide that support to make sure that this community is able to heal and get more quickly onto that path of recovery. We similarly, in Washington, D.C., one of the things that I emphasized to each of the legislators that we met with is that with all of the issues going on in our world right now, one thing that we as a proud Hispanic serving institution and minority serving institution that we must do is protect minority serving institution funding. And that was thankfully well received by the legislators that we did speak to, but knowing that there's still more work ahead. And so I want to also recognize the work that our students have been leading, especially Akibo have been leading in pushing folks to reach out to their legislators to continue to do that work to protect this critical funding source to serve all of our students in our community. I'm grateful to my colleagues today for the unanimous votes in support of both certainly the resolution in support of our community in the response to the fires, but also for our safe learning resolution, which I find to be a very valuable and important declaration of support from this board, and certainly recognizing the amount of work that has already been happening on our campus over the last few months by Dr. Gomez, our Dream Center, our Pride Center. So I'm really grateful for folks stepping in and stepping up as well in light of all these crises happening. And finally, I think because it is certainly more important now than ever to mark moments like these, I do want to echo a happy Black Heritage Month. Grateful to also participate in some of the events that have happened on campus, and also Lunar New Year. Today happens to be the last day of the longer Lunar New Year of 15 days. Today is known as in some communities that celebrate Lunar New Year. Today is the Lantern Festival, or Yuan Xiaojie in Mandarin, and it is a moment of continuing to bring in good fortune and hoping that we continue to bring that fortune into the rest of this year. And welcome back for all the students coming back next week. Thanks, everyone. Okay. Next is, do we have any proposed future board business meeting dates? Seeing none, do we have any proposed future agenda items? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn our meeting in memory of the 29 residents that have lost their lives in the fires here in Los Angeles?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Aragon. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, do we need to do a roll call?
Is there any objection to adjourning the meeting?
Lou?
No.
No. I'm going to consider that as
He's saying no.